Hello and welcome to the Recovering Dad podcast. I am your host, Marcus Ashcraft. Today is a another solo podcast. Surprise, surprise. No, but hopefully here soon I'll be getting some guests. I've been talking to some people. We try to get some people on. I've also have a couple other segments I want to introduce here in the near future. Hopefully I'll get to record one of those maybe this weekend, and I can get it out to you guys here in the next week or so. But let's start out first and foremost. Let's like and subscribe. If you want to say anything, comments below. Message me, Recovering Dad Podcast at gmail.com. Hit me up on social medias, all that jazz. Today I kind of want to do a little solo segment on stigma. I have a different setup today. I got my computer worked on, so instead of pulling out all the equipment, I'm going to try the USB mic again, see what happens. But yeah, I want to do a segment on stigma, talk about have you ever experienced stigma in your everyday life, or whether it's at work, at the grocery store, you happen to get into a conversation with a stranger, and then the next thing you know, they're talking trash about addicts or people in recovery or junkies or Narcan or, whatever the topic may be that could put you in a situation where you feel some type of way. Yeah, have you experienced any type of stigma related to your addiction or your recovery? If so, let me know what you think, kind of things you went through. Also, stigma in the workplace. It's another thing that I know a lot of us. I know for me, I have to tread lightly when it comes to the whole work. Getting a new job and going through that process, and then meeting new people in the workplace, and what process do you take when it comes to meeting people, and when do you let people know about your past, or if you ever do? Okay, so let's get started here. So for me, let's start out with stigma at work, and when do you talk about it? How long do you wait before you let people know about your past? So with a job interview, you go in there, and most of the time you go into an interview, and it comes to that point where they say, "Hey, is there anything on your background that is going to pop up and be a red flag?" Um, at that point, depending on how long you've been sober, how long you've been in recovery, that answer might vary, because if you're new in recovery, your past charges, excuse me, your past charges may be kind of fresh, within a year or a couple years, and background checks go back 7 years, which is insane to begin with. The fact that anybody is the same person they were 7 years ago, come on. I mean, most people aren't the same person they were last year, let alone 7. But anyway, so when you go in for the whole interview process, and it comes to that point, I find it best if you say, "Hey, um, when it comes to that point and you guys pull my background, if you guys have any questions or concerns about what is on there, feel free to let me know, and I will answer any questions as honestly as I can." I feel that way. If it's been a long time and it's like a border between whether or not, excuse me, whether or not the charges are there, or they might not be there, depending on what you got. Um, Sometimes it's easier to just say, if something pops up, let me know, and if you have questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, you're not lying, and then you're not incriminating yourself when it comes to the background check process. Or you could just be straight up, especially if it's really recent and you know something's going to pop up that's going to look bad. You could just say to the employer, "Hey, look, this is going to happen. I've got a possession charge, but I'm in recovery. I go to meetings. I've got support group, blah, 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 blah." But in the end, is it really their business? If you've changed, if you're a different person, if you're working on yourself to be better than you were than when you got those charges, does that really matter? And should you be held? Should you be judged because of your past actions? No matter how far it is, if you're trying to make a change, then you're trying to make a change. But I know jobs It's like they have that cookie cutter, this is how we do it. This is the process. These are the questions. And any variation of those questions, or if your answer isn't black and white, it's more gray. Some places don't like that. And I think that's the system is old and they need to update to today's standards. Um, which they are getting better. There are a lot of felony friendly uh, jobs for people who are in recovery. I think a lot of people are starting to get the idea that, once we are better, once we are in recovery, once we are sober, that we are some of the hardest working people because we've seen the other side of it. We know what death looks like. We know what hell looks like. So any glimmer of hope or positivity, like a job, we're gonna really put all of our effort into that because otherwise we might be out getting high. So we have to put our focus towards something positive. So that being said, after you get through the background process and say you get the job, you go into work. I know for me, I kind of tread lightly when it comes to like opening up because there are people out there who are looking to get a leg up in the company, and they could say use your past as telling the boss, hey, you need to watch out for this guy because he used to do this or he does that. You may come in tired one day because your kids were up late sick, but if someone knows that you used to be an addict, they could use that against you and say, oh, look at him, they're getting high, blah blah blah, when really you just had a rough night. So um, I try to keep it close to the chest until I know for sure who these people are that I'm working with, who the person I'm working for. It's truly no one's business unless there's someone in need that you see who you notice traits or behaviors and you could see that they need help. Then at that point, you can pull someone to the side and say, hey, look, blah, blah, blah. Um, or you just meet people at work and you find out through just natural conversation that they have a past and this is the job that's helping them build a foundation for them and their family. And, they're doing the same thing that you're doing. So you have a connection. I know a lot of places I've worked, you find a handful of people, you find a group, a little niche of people that you're like, hey, these are my people, and because there's a lot. I mean, it's sad to say that there are a lot of recovering addicts out there. A lot of us are dead, but if you're not still using, you're out there in the workforce trying to do something for yourself and your family. So when you find a person who you relate to in a job, it makes that job better. It makes it easier to go to and wake up to. And it's like, hey, I have this friendship with this dude at work, and he's like me, and we're both funny, and he's an ex addict, and we're both in recovery. So we can go to each other when we have issues or problems outside of work or, something going on in work. So it's cool to have those people you can go to. But I know in the beginning, it's hard to find out who's who and what's what. And you might think somebody's cool, and then you find out, oh, they were just getting close to me so they can, make me look bad in front of the boss or whatever it may be. So that's how life is in general. There's always going to be somebody hating on you and trying to put you down to build themselves up. And those people you just got to cut out of your life and try to recognize it when you see it. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Stigma in the workplace. How do you deal with those things that go on? Um, I know for me, I don't really try to let anybody know until they need to know, because it's my past and it's happened so long ago. Um, it's really none of their business, like what I'm doing outside of work. Um, Let me see, what else do I have here? Okay, so coming home, um, say it's from jail or from rehab, or you're early into recovery and you're doing these meetings and stuff. And I know a lot of times when we first come home, if we have somebody there to help us get back on our feet, you end up, staying with a relative, or if you're lucky enough to have that. But I know some of us don't. But early in recovery, when you're trying to reestablish your life and reestablish um, some type of normal life, people are going to be out there um, trying to speak negative on you. You know, uh, how long should you have to feel guilty, or how long should you have to feel bad for doing this, even though you paid the price for the things that you did, the crimes that you committed. You're in recovery, you're going to meetings, you're trying to do the right thing. How long should you feel bad for those things that you used to do? You're making amends, you're working, some type of program, no matter what it is. um, some people make you feel bad for eternity. And I think those people you might just have to cut out of your life. But I think once you make a reasonable effort to show yourself, show your family and friends that you are a different person, um, I think eventually, people have to forgive and forget. And I know not everybody will. And I think you have to be okay with that. Um, but you also don't have that, tear at you, because that builds resentment. Um, so I know one of the greatest things for me coming home and being sober was being able to be in a room with my family, and people leave their wallets or purses or some item, or my mom and dad being able to leave money out on the counter. Um, and me being able to sleep there and know that I'm not going to take it. But before, when I was using, people were clutching their bags, clutching their pearls, clutching anything that of value, locking doors, um, when we were around. And that was because they knew, given the opportunity, it would be gone. I think those little things, like people trusting you again, that means a lot. But when is it enough, for you to be um, fighting for, respect, or this type of or trust? I think there's a balance between you paying back the things that you did, and when you were using, and them taking advantage of you now being a different person. Um, because even after years, some people may have a backhanded comment, that kind of like cuts through or something. And you're like, man, that was like 5 years ago. Like, why are you still on that? I thought we got through that. I thought this was something that, we've worked through. It's over. I've paid my price to society. I've paid my price to my family, my friends. Why should I still have to deal with it? But that's life. Sometimes you just got to be like, all right, some people are petty. You know what I mean? But it's not even that. You could have hurt somebody really, really bad, and then you not even realize that you did it. Um, but also, that's a communication issue too. I think you have to, both parties have to be like, hey, look, you did this. And I did so much crazy stuff. I don't remember all the fucked up shit I did. I mean, to be honest, you know what I mean? So when someone comes up and they're like, blah, 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 you did this, and you may not remember it, you still have to acknowledge it. Be like, I'm sorry I did that, and I'm no longer, and you have to show them you're no longer that person. But there's a million different instances where you have to deal with the wreckage of your past. And I think it's always going to happen. Um, but the biggest thing is to not let the negative people affect your life. Don't let somebody feeling some type of way about themselves and putting it on you when you're trying to build your own self up. You know what I mean? Don't let somebody's negativity dictate how you live your life. So I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day and listening to me talk about things going on in my life, or the things that I've experienced. I appreciate you guys, those who are interacting. I appreciate that as well. This is kind of important to me, and I want to start some type of communication to to get everybody involved, and to also kind of see our side of it, because I know for a lot of us, we don't get to express our side of the story. A lot of times our side gets jumbled up because, the stigma and because of people, how they perceive us. And I really appreciate anybody out there listening, anybody out there taking anything away from these podcasts. That means a lot to me because that's why I do it. I do it because number one, I feel like we're giving a voice to the voiceless, a voice to people who are either dead or incarcerated or stuck in a vicious cycle and they can't get out. And I think those of us who have the opportunity to shed some light on this side of the epidemic of the drug issue, um, I feel like we have an opportunity to let people in on it and to let them know the things we experience. And I also want to know what the other side experiences, the people that we've harmed, the people that dislike us, whatever it may be. I want to hear everybody's viewpoint and everybody's situation because I think when you sit down and truly listen to what someone has experienced in their life, if you even if you don't agree with it, I think you can get an understanding of where they come from. You get an understanding of why they did or why they do the things they do. And that's knowledge and that's learning and that's you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes for a moment. And I appreciate anybody out there listening. Um, Hopefully we have more segments like this to where I'm gonna try to put some short segments up every week, try to get some type of interaction. Thank you so much once again. All recovery is real recovery. This is Recovering Dad, Marcus Ashcraft. Toodaloo.